Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be talking about a new finesse swim bait that I can finally talk about. I've been waiting to mention this one on the channel for some time. We've been doing a little bit of testing, but haven't been able to actually talk about it. But today we're going to get into this new finesse swim bait, and is it a game changer for smallmouth bass fishing? If you know me, I love finesse swim baits. They're one of my favorite techniques, probably my favorite technique of all time for smallmouth bass, even for spotted bass, occasionally largemouth too. They just catch fish. I've experimented with every brand, every size, every jig head, everything you can do. So when I got these prototypes and was able to fish them, I was pretty impressed with them. And now we can finally talk about it. So stay tuned. Let's get into today's video and talk about this guy right here, the 6th Sense Party Minnow. All right, so as I mentioned, I love finesse swim bait fishing for one. That's something I've been doing for years. I do it on Lake Erie. I do it on the rivers here in Pittsburgh. I fish even our northern natural lakes up here that just have smallmouth in them. It's a great technique for them too. I fish it pretty much everywhere I go up here in the Northeast, so it's something that I'm very passionate about, I have a lot of experience with, and really enjoy fishing. This guy right here is the 6th Sense Party Minnow, for starters, this was designed by Corey Johnston, so obviously a smallmouth fishing killer. He catches a ton of fish up there on the St. Lawrence River and smallmouth in general, and he designed this bait mostly for the St. Lawrence River with the way that it's actually laid out, and we'll talk about that in the rigging here in just a little bit. But he built a couple features into this bait that are going to make it be more versatile than a regular swim bait, like the 6th Sense Divine swim bait. That one might go in the back burner for me after I start fishing this one a while, but we'll see as the season shakes out this year. This bait does some other things that bait does not do, and we'll break that all down in today's video. As I mentioned, I work with 6th Sense, so I got some prototypes of these back in the fall. I was able to fish them around a little bit. I just wasn't able to talk about them because they weren't released yet. Now that they're live, we can finally make a video and talk about it. I've been super excited fishing these things. I have some sweet colors here too that I think are gonna be excellent around here in the Northeast. Something that's kind of unique and mimics some of the forage that we have up here. A lot of the swim bait colors you ever see, they're shad pattern, or just shad pattern. That's really about it, which we have a lot of shad, and ultimately it mimics a lot of bluegills and stuff like that, or even small perch, just because those fish, when they're very small like that, they're very light colored to camouflage on the bottom. But we have other types of food up here too, like alewives, emerald shiners, perch even, like the small perch. Sometimes they'll have that yellowish color to them. So burning through some colors here real fast, some of the ones I'm excited to fish. This one in my hand, I'm so excited to fish this one. This is one I did not get in the prototype. This is called Perch Juice. If you fish up here in the Northeast, if you fish Lake Erie, if you fish anywhere that has emerald shiners, this is gonna be the color. I'm sure it'll mimic baby perch really well too, but like this thing, this color is identical to some of those emerald shiners that are up there on Lake Erie. Some of the other colors, these ones I'm looking forward to fishing in like the Ohio, Pittsburgh, like Allegheny, Monongahela rivers right here in Pittsburgh. This is Electric Shiner, and this is Green Pumpkin Shad. I also have Green Pumpkin Ghost. A lot of our fish feed on small baby creek chubs, darters, little sucker minnows, stuff like that. Those have like a darker back and that lighter belly, so these colors are gonna mimic that perfectly. That's what I'll be fishing around here. And then obviously you have your shad and alewife colors, so like on Lake Champlain they have alewives. Some of the lakes I do fish have shad in them, so like Ghost Ice Minnow is a really good one, and Pro Shad, those are gonna be your true shad mimicking patterns, or like those lighter baitfish colors. But I'm excited to try some new colors that I haven't played around with before. You know that when I fish my finesse swim baits, I use white and I use Pro Blue. Those are like the two colors I ever fish with. So this year, we're gonna expand our horizons a little bit, try some new baits, try some new colors. That is one thing I'm excited about doing this year with not fishing as many or any tournaments this year, is getting out on the water and trying new stuff. Whether it be baits, colors, techniques, bodies of water. I'm gonna try and fish new bodies of water I've never been to before and show you how I break down bodies of water. I'm gonna try and show you different techniques that I usually wouldn't go fish because I'd be practicing for a tournament or doing something like that. And also just trying new baits or colors. Like I might not have ever thrown a color like this before because I know my Pro Blue works, but now that we have some time to experiment and we're just out there fishing for fun, we're gonna try some new stuff this year. But Talking quickly about this bait and what makes it special, the real design behind this bait is it's actually designed to be nose hooked on a drop shot. So I have one rigged up right here, and it will work amazing on a drop shot. I can't wait to fish this in the Pittsburgh rivers exactly like this, because we have so many snags in our rivers that the weight, if you fish a drop shot, it'll keep your bait up above those snags, but it'll also have that bait fish profile. It's very small, at only 3 inches long, but it's also very skinny. So it should get a lot of bites. This is designed to fish straight, nose hooked on a drop shot, and the tail is so thin. You know, I talk about that numerous times on selecting your swim bait, even the Divine swim baits. The thinner the tail, the less plastic you have in there, the easier it'll move at slower speeds. So you can even drag this on a drop shot and still get that tail to kick. But if you were to put it on a Finesse swim bait head and fish it in really cold water like I like to do, you can still get that tail to kick at really slow speeds. So it was designed to be able to drag in current. So if you fish a higher current area or body of water, you can just hold your rod and let that bait kind of swim down the current. Or if you want to drag it purposefully, you can drag the bait purposely and it'll just kick on that drop shot, because it has such a thin profile on that tail that it'll still shake as it goes through the water. And then the real way that I'm excited to fish this as well is on a Finesse swim bait head. The way that I like to fish my swim baits overall, it'll still, like I said, it'll kick really well on that profile because of how thin the tail is, but the head is very fat. So on these 6th Sense Finesse swim bait heads right here, they have that barbed keeper, and it's thick enough to accept that keeper without blowing the bait out, making the head really fat, or like popping the eyeballs off or anything like that. So that's something. It still looks very natural. It looks very slim on the bait, and it's able to be fished on a swim bait head like that either way. So if your fish are pinned to the bottom and they don't want to leave the bottom to come get a bait, you can throw the swim bait head and fish it down there on the bottom, use it as a search bait, cover water. You could throw it on a spinning rod, a light bait caster, throw that thing out there, reel it really slowly on the bottom and cover water. Or if you have a school of fish, you know they're there, or you just want something really natural. A lot of our Pittsburgh river fish, I think this is where that's really going to excel. They feed on bait fish that are like this small, and this bait is so small, even with that thin tail, it makes it a very small profile. Like these Ghost Ice Minnow ones right here, they're super transparent. They have a little bit of fleck and flash in them. So if you put that on a drop shot and drag that through those schools of little silver-side minnows that they feed on in the river, you can trick those fish. A lot of times they're so picky on matching the hatch that you need a bait that's either perfect size or very close, and super thin in profile. So this can do just that. You can drag that bait really slowly, get that tail to kick, put it right in those fish's face, and have a very finesse profile to get them to bite that bait. And then lastly, the rod and reel I'm gonna fish this on most likely is going to be a spinning rod, just because of how small and finesse this bait is. This is actually a Cash and Core spinning rod right here. It's a 7-foot fast, medium light action. Really light setup for fishing this bait. I could put it on a medium if you're fishing around some bigger fish, but that medium light's gonna have a lot of bend and backbone to it, and be able to feel that bait since it's so small. Really all you're gonna feel is your weight, because this bait weighs almost nothing. So it's a very finesse deal to fish. I could also fish this guy, the Finesse Swimbait head, on a spinning rod as well, or I could fish it on my Finesse Swimbait rod, which is my jerkbait rod with 12-pound test. Honestly, I'll probably save that for the bigger Finesse Swimbaits. And then like if I'm fishing a 3.2, that bait's significantly fatter and a little bit longer. So I'll probably save that rod for fishing that bait. And then I'll put this guy on a spinning rod just because of how small and finesse this setup is. I'll probably need that to get the long enough cast to keep your bait down there on the bottom and where those fish need to be. I pair mine up with a Shimano Sedona 2500. I put 15-pound test lime green braid on it so you can see that bait on the bottom and how it's reacting. You can watch that line like a strike indicator. And then I put 8-pound test, straight fluorocarbon leader on here. You could go to 6 if you want something a little bit lighter, but I like the 8. It gives it just a little bit more abrasion resistance, a little bit more strength there to fight those fish, especially if you hook a big smallmouth doing this technique. So check some of these party minnows out. It'll be something I'm fishing everywhere from the Pittsburgh rivers for 12-inch bass all the way up to Lake Erie for 6-pound bass. It's going to be an absolute fish catcher for smallmouth. I've played around with it a little bit already, and I'm looking forward to fishing it some more. If you want to get any of these and help support the channel, you can use my code Quince on the website. You'll save 10% off your order. You'll be helping me out a ton by doing that. And check out this video right here to talk about how to fish those finesse swim baits if you enjoyed today's video, and learn more about how I like to fish those and catch a lot of smallmouth. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button down below, and thanks for watching.